Stop everything you're doing. This is huge. Rangers are turning the rumor mill into overdrive with shocking transfers, fiery rants, and jaw-dropping admissions you won't believe. A £2.5 million Croatian starlet in the crosshairs. A Sunderland wonder kid stealing the spotlight. And wait, did McCoist just say Celtic are the best in Scotland? Plus, Keith Jackson's live meltdown over Danilo and whispers of a Premier League gaffer eyeing up Rangers. You don't want to miss a second of this. It's drama, passion, and controversy all rolled into one. Stick with me, the bombshells are coming thick and fast. So, the Rangers are sniffing around this young Croatian lad, Marko Soldo, 21 years old, already making waves with NK Osijek, and it sounds like he's got a bit of pedigree. We've dipped into Osijek's talent pool before with Barisic and, Grezda. Let's not talk too much about him, shall we? So it's not exactly uncharted territory. Soldo's got 6 goals and 4 assists this season, plus a bit of European experience under his belt. Not bad for someone supposedly valued between 2 and 3 million euros, or about 2 to 2.5 million pounds. He's been moving between roles too, a bit like a jack of all trades, but most comfortable in the center. Could he be the lad to provide that defensive shield in midfield while letting the likes of Diamond and Raskin run riot further up the pitch? That's the gamble we'd be taking, isn't it? Mind you, signing someone contracted until 2027 means the checkbook's going to be under some serious pressure. Philippe Clermont and Neil Koppen had better be spot on with this one. We can't afford another Grezda situation when there are bigger battles to win on and off the pitch. Now, here's one for the Rangers faithful. Should we be banking on these promising young players from abroad? Or is it high time we invested more in homegrown talent? What do you reckon? Michael Stewart having a laugh at Rangers' expense again. What a shocker. Alan Hutton's hesitation was probably fair, though, given the week ahead. I mean, we're talking about Spurs in Europe, then the Celtic mob in a cup final. That's no casual stroll through Kelvin Grove Park, is it? But the cheek of the trio bursting out laughing, it's like they've already written us off. Typical. To be fair, Philippe Clermont has turned things around a bit. 7 wins in the last 8. That's not too shabby, especially after we were looking flatter than a pint left out overnight, and that 6-0 battering of Kilmarnock. Glorious. But let's not kid ourselves. The old firm is a different beast, especially with Clement still chasing his first win against them. If he fluffs this final, the pressure will be back faster than you can say managerial merry-go-round. Spurs aren't exactly flying high at the moment either, so it's a decent time to host them at Rangers. 2 wins here could be season-defining. 2 losses, well, that could see Clement facing chance of taxi for Philippe quicker than the pies run out at half-time. Here's one to get the debate going. If Clement doesn't beat Celtic in this final, is it time to start looking for another gaffer, or do we give him the season to sort it? What's your take? Keith Jackson's losing the rag over Danilo's omission, and you know what? For once, he's got a point. Leaving the Brazilian out of the Europa League squad, it does make you scratch your head. The medical team apparently knew he'd be back by mid-November, so why wouldn't you include a lad of his caliber? It's not like we're drowning in reliable goal scorers, is it? Dezers has been about as sharp as a spoon in Europe, and the less said about the rest of the forward line, the better. This isn't a knock on Hamza Igamani. He's got potential, but you'd rather have someone like Danilo for a night like Spurs at Rangers. Tottenham aren't going to gift us chances, so we'll need someone who knows where the back of the net is. That decision could bite us harder than a frosty wind off the Clyde. Still, we can only hope Clement gets the tactics spot on and maybe the lads surprise us with a clinical performance. But here's the kicker for you. Did leaving Danilo out of the squad show a shocking lack of ambition from the club, or was it a calculated risk that's just not paying off? Let's hear it. Ali McCoist, Rangers legend through and through, admitting that Celtic are the top dogs right now. That's a tough one to swallow, isn't it? He's calling it like he sees it, though, and fair play to him for being honest, saying Celtic's performance against Leipzig was as good as anything he's seen from them in Europe? That's painful, but it's not exactly wrong. Still, it doesn't mean we have to like it. Sunday's final, though, that's a chance to flip the script, isn't it? Forget the league, we're not catching them there, but a cup win over Celtic could put some wind back in our sails. Clermont's got a squad that's been improving, and while the gap between the sides in the league is like the Clyde and the Kelvin, a one-off game is a different story. The added twist, both sides will be a bit battered from midweek European action. We're up against Spurs and they're trekking out to Zagreb. Who's got the legs for it? Come Sunday, that could be the difference. If Clermont can get this lot fired up and lifting silverware, it might just spark a proper charge for the rest of the season. But here's the spicy one for the fans. If we can't get the better of Celtic on Sunday, are we just prolonging the inevitable with Clermont, or should he be given the full season no matter what? Let's hear your thoughts. So, Graham Potter's name pops up again, doesn't it? Seems like every time there's a sniff of managerial instability, someone throws his hat in the ring. To be fair, the man's got a CV that's hard to argue with, Brighton flying high under his guidance and that wild ride at Chelsea, even if it didn't quite work out. He was apparently attracted to the Rangers job before, but now he's eyeing a Premier League return, possibly even on an interim basis. That tells you where his head's at. For Philippe Clermont, this week's matches are massive. A good showing against Spurs and a win over Celtic in the cup final, and he's cemented his place. But if it goes sideways, well, let's just say Patrick Stewart might be tempted to pick up the phone. And while Potter's a big name, would he really be the right fit for Rangers at this stage? This isn't Chelsea or Brighton. We're talking about a club where winning is non-negotiable, week in, week out. No time for long-term projects here. Still, you've got to wonder, is all this talk about potential replacements undermining Clermont just as he's starting to find his feet, or is it a fair conversation given the stakes? Young Tommy Watson, 18 years old, tearing it up for Sunderland and already linked with Rangers and Nottingham Forest. You've got to love it when a lad steps up from the academy and grabs his chance like that. 2 goals to sink Stoke? That's the sort of performance that makes you sit up and take notice. Mind you, it sounds like Rangers were already sniffing around him last summer. Whether they reignite that interest now is the real question. With our injuries on the flanks, Matondo and Cortez watching from the stands, you can see why Watson might have been on the radar. A winger who loves a one-on-one and has the physical chops to back it up. You know, that's the kind of dynamism we're crying out for. But you wonder if Sunderland will even entertain offers now that he's showing his worth in the Championship. They'll likely want to keep hold of him, or at least slap on a price tag that could make us think twice. Here's the big one for you, though. Should Rangers focus on signing raw, young talents like Watson who can develop into stars, or is it time we splashed out on proven quality to get us winning right now? What do you reckon? If you haven't seen yesterday's video yet, you're missing out. Explosive news about Rangers that'll leave every fan stunned. Go check it out now.